happening?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What's Wrong with These Kids. This is number 13, where we're talking about one of my favorite things, video games. So, Logan, did you play video games growing up?
Only because you made me. But actually, I spent most of my time watching you play games, which is kind of like, even to this day, I'll go over to my buddy Vinny's place, and they'll play games, and they're like, are you sure you don't want like a Switch controller? I'm like, no, I like to watch instead of play because I'm not good at them. Usually my older brother's the one that plays the games. Or convinces me that for Christmas, since your birthday's on the 29th, that we should just go all in and get a new system for a conjoined Christmas and my birthday present. And I'm
Definitely.
like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do it. So my son loves playing video games. He also, though, likes watching me play video games as well. So I told him tonight, if you hurry up and get ready for bed fast enough, Daddy will let you watch him play video games. And so he was watching me play.
Wait, I should have kids. What?
So I was playing Watch Dogs, which is an older Xbox game.
Yep. That's the one I could not play that I would watch you play.
So it's an older Xbox game where it's like Assassin's Creed in a modern environment, and you can adjust things, whatever. But the problem is you do many illegal things on the game, and so he's asking me
That's the hacking one, right?
Yeah. He goes, Daddy, why are the cops chasing you? Why are the police chasing you? Because I stole this car. Why'd you steal the car? Because the mission told me I had to steal it. Stop asking questions. But yes, we grew up playing video games, and while you say you didn't play video games, I'm sure I could throw a few video game names out there, and you'd go, yes.
Zelda. Yes.
I played that game non-stop.
Any Zelda game, definitely.
Any Zelda game. How about StarCraft?
Yes, I did do that too.
Diablo 2?
Hold on a second. First, Diablo and Diablo 2, 6,000%. But I was thinking StarCraft, we got to be sure, not StarCraft 64. We're talking correct. StarCraft. Yeah.
See. So there were those. How about The Sims? I never really got into The Sims, but you and Matt got into The Sims.
Yep. Actually, there are some songs, if I hear it on the radio, it's almost like a PTSD flashback of like, oh my gosh, I remember type in Rosebud 1,000 times so we can get like 10,000 whatever simoleon money that they had.
So you did play video games. I agree that probably of the two of us.
That's true. Actually, let me throw out some more. Warcraft, StarCraft.
Yeah, anything by Blizzard.
Computer games I was good at. Console games, not so much.
That's a fair statement. So we're going to talk about video games, our story surrounding video games. We shared several episodes ago about our cousin's house and how our save games would always go missing, but his were always fine.
Seriously, what happened with that?
But I do remember I was listening to a podcast today, and they were talking about how expensive video games were. That they're the same cost as they are today, but in $1985. So
is that true?
Yes, because I mean, think about it. A GameCube game used to be $50, $60, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but you'd have in gameplay costs or whatever.
Well, I mean, you don't have in-game play costs, correct. However, you still were buying the game, and the consoles cost the same then. There's still several $100s to buy a new console. It's always
maybe. I guess I didn't think about
it's always been about the same. So video games were expensive. So I remember going to different people's houses and playing different games, and it was like, this is awesome. I couldn't have all this stuff at my house now. Whereas now, you can have multiple consoles, multiple games. They're all backwards compatible. They all work. And even if they're not backwards compatible, there's a good chance they've made a port so you can play an old game on a new system, so on and so forth.
Yeah, as long as it's not, Nintendo's different because it's cartridge, but I don't know. They probably do have a thing you could set up.
I have one. I have an old Nintendo that plugs into my TV.
I spoke too soon. My bad.
That's got 30 games on it from original Nintendo.
Uh-huh.
So
Neat.
so we have those. I have that. I also have a mini Super Nintendo that has 20 games from the Super Nintendo. So we grew up. We started. We had an Atari for a very short period of time. Dad had it, and
Yeah, that was at Perdido Key, I think.
no. This was back when Mom and Dad were still married. So an Atari, like we had this before we had Nintendo, and we had Nintendo at the old house in Northeast Gainesville.
Oh, okay.
Dad may have had
Which
an
I
Atari as
remember.
well, and Perdido Key, or one of the other guys, Wayne or Brad, may have had
Oh yeah, yeah, one of the,
they may
yeah,
have had
okay.
an Atari. But we started really playing with Nintendo, and I remember Dad telling me years later that he would stay up until 2 in the morning trying to find the portals that I was finding and the hidden mushrooms and everything that I was finding. Had no idea how to get there, and he was trying to keep up with me, and he couldn't do it. I had the shine, so.
Yeah, well, good on him for even trying. I did
It's
not
true.
know that was happening.
So we had Nintendo for a while, and then we upgraded from Nintendo. We went to the
Sega Genesis.
Sega Genesis, which we played for most of our formative years. You even had the original online play device before online play was a thing, and you
Yeah, we didn't
requested
know how that worked. You had to plug in a RJ
RJ
20
16.
16. Is it
Yep,
16? Okay. Um,
a phone cable.
yeah,
It was a
yeah.
modem that hooked up to the Sega Genesis.
But we didn't have
Friends.
dial up or anything like that or friends.
Well, so we didn't. So
Nobody else owned one, so like who you
we had
gonna
internet. We had internet, so we could use
do
that.
we have
But
internet at that point? Because I remember definitely. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I remember definitely our first computer. Um, it was not IBM. It was its own thing where it had its
yeah,
own OS. But I remember the startup screen looked like a window, so it had four
yes,
boxes.
yes.
And I remember getting an AOL 3.5 floppy disk, and I was like, "Hey, let's get the internet on the computer." And you're like, "We need Windows," and I pointed at the screen that looked like a window. I'm like, "Boom! There we go. That's the window." And you're like, "That's not Windows." I'm like, well, "How is that not a window?" Because it was just four like squares, but
Yes.
but it was framed exactly like a window.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
And
So,
yeah,
so the X band that you had, which is what it was called. Um,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it was its own modem. So as long as you had a phone connection, it was its own modem. And
Oh,
so we had that,
I think
but
we could log in, but nobody else had one, so
we
we.
could log in. Yeah, we didn't have any friends that had it. We didn't know anybody who had it, and I don't think we had any games that worked on it. Like it was only a
There was
few games
one
worked
game
on it.
we had. I think it was the one, and I remember it was almost like Mortal Kombat, but
Yeah,
wasn't
Eternal
quite.
Champions.
Yeah, and it had Blade on it. I think.
Yes. Well, it had a guy that looked like the Blade, and I think his name may have been Blaze because it wasn't a
Oh, was it like a knockoff kind of thing?
yeah, but that one was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
Uh,
Yeah. So I do remember we did have that. As far as handhelds go, we had multiple Game Boys. We had a Sega
oh,
Game Gear.
remember
You-
the
I
Lynx?
was gonna say you had your Lynx, which was I don't even remember
That
what
was a
that was.
garage sale buy.
That
I
was
have
garage
no
sale
idea.
by
Now I think it was Atari's version of
Sega
Sega
Game
Game
Gear.
Gear.
Yep.
Yeah, and it
We
had
had the
like
Virtual Boy.
one or two games for that one. Virtual Boy, yeah, we had that, and we talked about getting insurance for it because we wanted to
Yes.
get on the beach. I don't. I think we just had the concept of what insurance was.
Yeah.
Uh,
How nerdy were we that we thought we're gonna take a Virtual Boy down to the beach? So we're laying on the beach with this big thing on
yeah,
our
we were
face.
in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and we were walking down the beach, and we're like, "Oh, well, we don't want like the tide to come up." Which
What were we
also
thinking?
Gulf Shores, Perdido Key, Pensacola, like the tide doesn't really come up a
No,
lot. We're not in Daytona Beach,
no. And I'm
and
sure Mom
these
was like,
and
"Yes,
these
take your video games
references
with
are
you."
only making sense to people that are from Florida.
Those are the systems we had, but this isn't what we're going to be talking about today because you don't care about what systems we had. Video game stories are really only fun to tell when they involve other people. And luckily, we grew up with a bunch of people that played a bunch of different video games. So I'm going to kick us off with a StarCraft story, and then we'll kind of go from there, sharing around. So we used to play StarCraft with a bunch of guys. Um, StarCraft is an 8-player game, and we would have upwards of 12 to 20 guys at Matt's house on a weekend. And so we would hand out like like it was almost like drawing straws to see who actually got to play.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we, you'd be playing with, 8 different people, whatever. But I remember we did a lot of watching on those games because it's such a
Well,
fast
because
game.
there was a bunch of older people playing,
Yes,
like
they were all
Peter
Matt's older.
West. When we
Yeah,
were what we were middle school to maybe early high school.
yeah, and they were all his and Dan's friends. And
Hmm.
but I
And
remember,
yeah, Dan wouldn't let us in. It was a room, so
so I remember watching over the other Dan's shoulder, and we're watching him play. And in the game, you can go one of two ways as Terrans. You can either go for nukes, or you can go for giant space cruisers that would just mow over a
carrier
place.
has arrived. That
So,
was me.
but nukes were difficult because you had to sneak a guy into the base, and you had to
Just
paint a target and wait 10 seconds and not be found. And then you would drop a nuke, and if anything happened, you would lose your nuke, and it would say nuclear launch
I
detected.
think, yeah,
Nuclear
nuclear
launch detected. But we're sitting there, we're
Which
playing.
I live next to DC, so I'm pretty sure I'll hear that one soon. But
So, so we're watching over one Dan's shoulder, and Matt's brother Dan was playing, and so we're sitting there watching. And all of a sudden you hear nuclear launch
nuclear, don't you?
detected. Yes, it's
Nuclear launch detected, and we're like, how many of these guys do you have?
so he had somehow managed to get like 20 nukes, which is unheard of. He had to kill all his other units so that he just had a fleet of ghosts to drop these nukes, but just
He
obliterated
had
this guy's
like
base.
50 of them. It was so dumb that everyone stopped playing, and because it was like I thought it was skipping a beat, like almost like it bumped in a record player or something like that. It was like nuclear launch detected,
So
and
for
we're like,
anybody,
all
for
right, so
anybody
we're
who
all
for
dead.
anybody who doesn't play StarCraft, which is probably most of you out there, I'm gonna go ahead and paint the picture for you.
Yeah,
Okay?
except for our South Korean friends
Yeah.
listening.
So imagine you're watching somebody play basketball, okay? And they're on the opposite side of the court of their net. And while they're looking away from the net, they just throw it over their back and it goes across the court, nothing but net shot.
And then
That was
25 other basketballs go back into it.
That's what it looks like. That was how crazy it was. It's one of those moments where you just lose your mind because there was such skill to get there. Yeah, that was fun. So same group of guys.
I'm
We played
pretty
other.
sure we all just stopped what we were doing and
Yeah,
we're like,
it was amazing.
was that a glitch? What just happened there? And then we're like, okay, so we're all dead, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like boom, 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 boom.
So these guys, we would also play fighting games, and so one-on-one fighting games, and so we would have 20 guys in Matt's living room, and
Oh, remember, yeah, Pete had the arcade with the what was it? Street Fighter Turbo or whatever, right?
yep, he had the arcade cabinet with Street Fighter Turbo. We also would play. He also had arcade style controls for newer games, and so we would play until like 4 in the morning on a Saturday, pass out,
Mhm.
and then Matt's dad would come around about 7:30, waking us all up to go to church. Like
Go to
everybody,
church.
get on
Yep.
up, it's time for church. And I remember there was one
Dude, he
kid.
rallied up like
He,
he would
he passed
rally
a
up
few.
like 15 kids. Like, all
So
right, every pile in this basically a bus. This van with like four like
he'd
doors
take
that open
he'd
up.
take 2 and 3 trips with that van. But I remember that there was one guy. He woke up and he goes, "Oh, I'm a Buddhist." And he said, "Not today. You're a Baptist. Get in the van. You stay at my house on Saturday.
Yeah.
You are going to church on Sunday." Uh,
What's one of the Tekken boys?
yes, yep.
Yeah, okay.
One of the Techineers. They had a
Tekken.
name.
Sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
I was the alternate Techineer. I was an up and comer. I remember I used to pick on Matt. I used to want to beat him on Soul Calibur as bad as I could beat him on Tekken. He said that'll never happen. He goes, "You beat me
I
horribly on Tekken."
I beat Dan West in GoldenEye 64 one time and never played again. I was like, nope, drop the mic, I'm out.
Now here's a question: were you Odd Job? Is that what you were you playing as Odd
No, I think
Job?
he was. I think he was. I think I just started figuring it out, and I just kept my face like tilted down.
So he
And just
couldn't see your
oh,
screen. You could
yeah,
screen look.
no, I meant like I tilted down to look at him, and I think I got him with a golden gun. And then he was like, "Done, you're out." Oh, but also I killed him once in what was it with Yoshimitsu?
Well, he was on Tekken and Soul Calibur.
Okay, yeah, okay. But no, when I finally figured out that one suicide move,
Yep.
I can't remember what it's called when you stab yourself in the stomach.
Harikari.
Harikari.
Or
All right,
Seppuku.
so Seppuku, yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, if as long as I kill him one round, and I have one life left, it's straight up. Like I can't remember. It's a complicated move, but it's like straight up when it's like go. I can just run up behind him and seppuku myself and him, and he's dead. So he doesn't even have an option. I can't remember how many times because remember there was like the training mode
Mm-hmm.
game. Yeah, I just did that over and over and over again, and then I also knew the one where I could pick him up and stab him. If I hit him once, then I could just pick him up like a skewer and drop him down like you're dead. And I think I did those two cheat moves. And he was so pissed, and he insisted that I had to like rebattle him, and I just never played the game against him ever again.
Hi, this podcast is brought to you by me, Logan, and also my brother CJ. But if you would like to plug your business or make one of us read something out loud for whatever reason, head over to patreon.com/wwwtk. Then you could see videos of our podcasts and call me out on the internet about how my hairline is receding. Also, I can afford a better microphone so my voice doesn't sound like crap.
Speaking of cheat moves, let's flip over to Diablo 2 and editing the mod files so that you could hack it so you had unlimited jewels and unlimited money and everything else.
Come on, duping? Yeah,
Yes.
I got so good at that. Oh man. Oh, and then also, yeah, keep going.
And you weren't allowed to go any further than Pete because Pete bought the game. And you were so much further than Pete, and he was so mad.
Yeah,
and
he was a necromancer, I think, right? At that time.
Yep.
Dude,
So
he was getting so scared. He's like, oh no, more. He logged out, I think. Didn't he?
Yeah. So you guys did a wizard's duel, and you were obliterating him. And
I was like, bone cage, bone spears, I was just destroying the shit out of him, and he was like, he just logged out, and he's like, no.
So he came in and was mad because you were further than he was, and so so he told you that you were not allowed to play anymore unless you showed him how you were duping stuff, and so you had to show him how to go in and edit stuff. And yes, we sank many hours into that.
Okay, that's right. That was like an early hacking thing. Okay, so
yes,
Diablo 1, you would just go pick it up and drop it at the same time.
Yes.
Diablo 2, I think you could load it as a single player and use the same character in multiplayer or something like that.
What you were doing is you had two characters.
The character.
You had two characters that were not the same, and so you would log one in on one computer, one in on the other computer.
Yeah,
you would give
going back and forth throughout the house.
Yeah, you would give all your stuff
to 4 in the morning too.
Yes, you would give all your stuff to player 2, and then you would reload before you gave the stuff to player 2, and so you had the stuff, and then you would give them. And anyways,
yeah. I remember there was a weird like hacking thing, and I don't even know how we figured that out. I think it was an accidental discovery, and I was like, well, now I'm gonna stay up for now I'm gonna stay up for like 7 more hours doing this over and over again.
Yes. Yeah, so I remember you played that, and that was we spent many hours
doing a bunch of like hacking things with while we're doing that. Remember JD when early stages with the Trojan, like I could follow the White Rabbit and then open his CD drive over and over again. He was freaking out.
You were I remember you were posing all these questions, and it took it over. It was so much.
It was funny because I think he passed out. And then we were discussing it, and then he woke back up, and so everybody else in the room was in on it.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, dude, no, that's not good." yeah, you gotta go look into it. He's like, how do they know what I'm wearing? What was that? And
And
I'm just like left, like I'm in a computer, like in the back corner of the room, like this is hilarious.
this was another time where Pete was mad at you, or said he was mad at you, and said that you were not allowed to play on his computer again unless you showed him how you did it. And so you had to show him this is how you do it. This is how you can hack the computer and stuff. But
I can
yeah,
still do that, by the way.
probably in more impressive
Yeah,
ways now.
there's better ways to do it now, but
So we did those things. We played those games. I'm trying to remember what else. Like, how about Halo parties?
oh, those are fun.
Yeah, we used to back in the day before you had Xbox Live. You would have to network Xboxes together. So we would network four of them together. So you have 16 players, 16 guys in a room
We
playing.
had a bunch of projectors, so that
Yep.
way we actually had a decent sized screen to look at.
Yep. And we would sit there and play, and it's one of those things that it's just not
No,
the same.
yeah, there's pictures of us, me and Matt, like, oh, like one of those
Yeah,
things.
it just wasn't. It's not the same now when you play on Xbox Live as it is when you're all in the same room. So actually, funny enough, that's one of the things that we've done as a youth group is we've done those things again in one room, and it's just a lot more fun if you're all in the same room.
Well,
But
the other thing is now TVs are so much cheaper that you could afford to have everyone facing like back to back, and then you just do,
yeah,
and it's like just like play this like on the same system.
I need to work on that. I need to get that going.
Have them facing different directions or something like that.
No, just setting up a LAN party, a LAN Xbox party. Yep, coming to a Lake Butler near
Do
you.
like a LAN lock-in, bro.
Yeah, I don't like doing lock-ins. I like when my kids go home. I want to go home and go to sleep.
You have 3 children.
I do have 3 children. I do have 3 children.
See now where I have no children, so I can yell at the ones upstairs that are stomping around with their tiny little baby feet and be like, "Hey, it's like 7 in the morning. Go back to bed." Dude, do you remember when we played? Was it Aladdin's Castle? Okay, arcade. Yep. We're still on the game thing.
Mm-hmm.
Aladdin's Castle. Peter West worked there, but what was the one? Boat race tournament. Hydro Thunder. I practiced. I was so good at that, but I did like one mess up and I got like knocked out of the league. But I was so bummed because everyone's like, dude, no, he was going to be the next. And this is way.
He's going to be a champion.
Yeah, this is like, what was that movie where the kid was really good at like, Mario or whatever it was?
It's The Wizard, and I bought it for myself for Christmas. So when you come down for Christmas, man, we'll watch The Wizard.
Oh, actually, for my Christmas present, I would rather not watch that.
Come on, man. It's a great movie.
Actually, my favorite one is the last. What's the one where the aliens come down and he's really good? Because I think Dad and I, when he came over here, we started to watch The Wizard, and we're like, this isn't what I'm thinking of. The last
Starfighter.
Starfighter.
I also have that on DVD. We can watch that one too when you come down for Christmas.
No, I got it. I stole you. It's on my hard drive.
Yeah. I also have Double Dragon. That's a good old gem.
That was us, bro. Double Dragon.
Are you homely or ugly? It's the Lee. Okay. They were the Lee brothers. It was Billy and Johnny. But he said it's the Lee brothers, homely and ugly. So, anyways, good stuff.
I just remember one could punch through stuff and one could turn into smoke. I think, right?
Yeah, that's pretty close. Pretty close. But yeah, that's classic. All right, so as we're wrapping up, what if you could play any game, one game, the only game you're going to play the rest of your life, what game is it going to be?
Zelda.
Which one?
Any of them. Oh, actually, okay, hold on, I take it back. Was it Ocarina of Time?
Oh yeah, that's that. Yes, that is the gold
That's
standard
only
right
because
there.
I haven't played the. I actually almost bought a Switch for the new one, but I haven't played that yet.
This is
So
true. I haven't played any after Majora's Mask. So
the first Master, I was like, yeah, that's not that great. It's no Ocarina of Time, and then also what was the other one where he was like a cartoon? I kind of fell out of that one.
there was the Super
I mean,
Nintendo
they're
one,
all cartoons, but no. The one after Majora's Mask.
Wind
It was
Waker, the Four Swords.
I don't remember what it was called, but I remember trying to play it and I was like, I don't like it. But I know the Switch one looked way better.
I got you. So through which one I would pick. It's a difficult one. I mean, Chrono Trigger is one that comes to mind. I just recently played through that one
I didn't
again.
think about that because I actually did pull it up recently.
Yeah, that one. Final Fantasy VII is another one that I love playing through. But
Yeah,
I would probably,
Chrono Trigger. Yeah, those are good ones. Yeah.
but I'd probably would say if I'm picking one, I'm probably going to play Fallout 3. Fallout 3 is probably one of my favorites. That's the one in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because I remember playing that in Florida, and I brought it. I think I started playing it again when I moved up here, and I'm like, oh, I know where that is. I know where that is. Yeah, oh, these are real places.
Real places.
Um. Okay, so the only problem I have with Chrono Trigger is I would spend the entire time at the fair until I died. You know, like doing the chug
Yeah.
thing and doing all that just to build up as much money as possible. Um, Fallout, yeah, I could get behind that. Yeah, I think I want to change mine to Fallout because it's like an open world.
Yeah.
Unless I see even though straight up which was the Super Nintendo Zelda that we played, was it Legends of Zelda?
Yeah. Legend of Zelda, the Super Nintendo one. It was a good one.
That one would be a that one would be good if in this scenario I was constantly on a toilet. That's a perfect one to play on my phone. I
Okay.
would play that one for the eternity of my poops. But if I was stuck on an island and somehow it, you know, like a TV and a computer, and somehow still couldn't figure out how to reach the outside world, then I would do Fallout 3. Yeah, I would do
Nice.
that one.
Nice. Well, sounds good. Well, hey guys, we appreciate you listening to this episode. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and on Podbean, and we're also on Spotify and iTunes. Leave reviews. Let us know you guys are enjoying the show. Also, don't forget to check out our Patreon, which is at patreon.com/wwwtk. What's wrong with these kids? So, encourage you guys to check that out as well.
Yeah. Actually, go to all of those and then download them, and then on every single one of those Spotify,
Yes.
iTunes, Podbean,
Get
do
those
all
stats
of
through the
them.
roof. Get the stats through
Yeah.
the roof. Sounds good. Oh, it is way past Zeke's bedtime. I hear him playing video games. I gotta go.